I say good morning, Belize, and good morning, and how are you this morning?
The Meighan family, once celebrated for its cycling champions, now gripped by a decades-long cycle of violence. In this video, we trace the Meighan family saga from the 2009 shooting of national hero Ellis Peppagacho Meighan Sr. to 2025's final, fatal ambush of his son Tyrone. On the evening of September 14, 2009, 36-year-old Ellis Meighan Sr., affectionately known as Peppagacho, was headed home along Central American Boulevard. At approximately 8:45 p.m., his wife Shelley heard 4 distinct shots echo through the neighborhood. Minutes later, she discovered him slumped over his handlebars, a single fatal bullet to the back of his head. Witnesses later described seeing 2 figures on bicycles fleeing the scene, but despite numerous tips, police were never able to charge a suspect. In 2018, the lone conviction was overturned on appeal due to disputed forensic evidence. Then a few years later, on July 9, 2013, at approximately 8 p.m., 21-year-old Jawmaine Neal was cycling toward the Meighan residence on Bannock Street, where he was currently living at the time, when assailants opened fire. He sustained multiple gunshot wounds and died en route to Karl Hussner Memorial Hospital. Neighbors told reporters the Meighan house had been a frequent target lately. Local pastor Daniel Jankuri remarked, "Their home stands as a beacon in a dangerous zone. Every conflict spills over those walls." And so it seemed to be a start of a long road of violence within the Meighan family. The brother of Ellis Meighan Sr. tried to take up the father role in his nephew's life, but just before noon on August 9th, 2014, 43-year-old Ernest Jawmaine Meighan, 2-time national cross-country cycling champion, was out visiting his daughter and their mother. He had just received a call and was headed to his car. He stepped out the house and paused to lock his gate at the southern end of George Street. CCTV shows an assailant dismounting a bicycle, approaching him from behind, and firing a single round into his skull.
He was on George Street when his killer, described to be a young man wearing a white t-shirt, lurked up behind him, aimed the gun at Meighan's head, and fired a single fatal shot.
I understand. I have spoken to, in fact, the members of his family who live on George Street. Jawmaine went there about 10:15, received a phone call, went to the room, spoke to the person who called him, picked up his clothes, which were washed. He picked up a 5-gallon to go fill it up with water. He was in his truck, came down the steps, put it in his car, turned around to close the gate, and he was shot in the back of the head. His daughter, his 15-year-old daughter, was the first one to see him fall and called out to her mother, who came down and...
Superintendent Gilberto Romero later confirmed that one of the primary lines of inquiry was vengeance for a previous murder, stating, "We are following up on that connection, given the timing and the family ties involved." That previous murder occurred just a few days earlier and involved a 16-year-old female student. On August 2, 2014, 16-year-old Chrislyn Gladden was found stabbed to death in Lord Ridge Cemetery.
To the Lord Ridge Cemetery, amongst the graves at the entrance of the burial ground, the mutilated body of a minor in blue tanks and short jeans pants was found. Just after 6 o'clock, residents gathered and police scenes of crime personnel arrived shortly after at the site. Murder victim number 1 for the month of August was a 16-year-old student from the Queen Square area. Chrislyn Gladden was stabbed multiple times to the body with a 10-inch blade police say was found 200 yards away. Family members soon arrived to identify their loved one. Even today, they remain in shock as they mourn the death of Chrislyn. 7 p.m. on Friday en route to a friend's house near La Popular Bakery, but she never reached her destination. Instead, Chrislyn was last seen with another female minor on Central American Boulevard by the surveillance cameras of Belizean Drug Store. According to Gladden's cousin, Rakisha Smith, she has conducted her own investigation and found out some rather disturbing facts. Smith says Chrislyn was last seen with a former colleague who had met up with her at UB orientation last week.
Sunday morning, to be exact, I went to do my own investigation. I went to 88 and asked them to rewind the camera because the young lady that she was with stated that she put my cousin in a cab in front of Belize and Jug store, and that was the last she saw Chrislyn. But when I went to Belize and Jug store to query if he had cameras, he's a family friend. He stated when I showed him the picture, because he's a family friend, he stated that he saw Chrislyn that same night with the said young lady at the store, and the young lady purchased a Heineken and he saw them walking. Well, the cameras reveal the same thing. Chrislyn wasn't placed in any taxi. The cameras show that the both of them walked the boulevards.
This young lady is her friend?
Not that I know of. The entire 4 years of Wesley College, it was misunderstanding. The young lady used to tear her textbook, tear the pages out of her textbook. Chrislyn would have come home to complain to her mom what was happening.
5 days later, police charged Jawmaine's daughter, Ashley Meighan, and accomplice Clement Bowl Jr. with Gladden's murder, raising suspicions of retaliatory motives in her father's killing. There were no suspects in the murder of Ernest Meighan. Without any father figure in their lives now, the Meighan siblings were left to the mercy of the streets, and this influence from their neighborhood played a major role in shaping them the rest of their lives. On March 1, 2018, 23-year-old Tyrone Meighan was arrested and charged alongside Oral Leslie and Brandon Baptiste for the November 26, 2012 slaying of 23-year-old James Norales.
Oral Leslie Jr., Tyrone Meighan, and Brandon Baptiste are all accused of killing former BDF soldier James Norales in 2012. They were initially remanded for a period of 3 years before the matter was heard in the High Court. After poring over evidence provided by the prosecution, the judge concluded that the facts presented in the case were circumstantial, since the information provided came from a suspect who is alleged to have been an accomplice. The men were subsequently released and briefly enjoyed their freedom. That was until they were picked up a second time and remanded into custody, the Director of Public Prosecutions having brought back the charge against them. James Norales was fatally shot inside a vehicle on Fabers Road, his body then dumped out onto the street. It is strongly believed that the men presently in detention are responsible for his murder.
We maintained at the trial that there was sufficient evidence to call the accused to answer to the charges. The judge disagreed with us, and where there's that kind of disagreement, if we feel strongly, the law allows us to take it before a higher court, and we did so. We succeeded at the higher court. We thought that was the end of that and that they would simply have been retried, but there were these applications because of course the defense is of a different view, but the court agreed with our position that there was in fact sufficient evidence to call upon them to answer to the charge, and so the matter will go back to the Supreme Court before a different judge, obviously.
At his bail hearing, the Crown prosecutor outlined eyewitness testimony placing Tyrone at the scene. Nevertheless, the men and their lawyers fought the case in court, and the judge took into consideration the fact that the witness who was also at the scene was trying to downplay his role and maybe placing blame on these men to simply save himself. The judge handed down a lengthy ruling and found the three men not guilty. Tyrone was free and had this to say.
Come to mind that God is good. You know, you can never ever turn a back on God. God is good. You know, 6 years of this, you know, experience is very serious. You know, got that experience to know you're fighting for your life on the line. You know, it's your life. You know, it's not play. You know, it's a job to them, but you know, it's your life to us. You know, so being there, sitting there, and in a dark seat, you know, I'm nervous to leave it, but I keep my confidence in my liars. You know, my liars are always there. You know, I recommend anybody to get these liars because they go the full 9 yards. They don't stop the 9 yards. They full. They do their submissions, their case, everything good. And
Tyrone Meighan had several other run-ins with the police after that and was charged several other times with his brother Ellis Meighan Jr. They escaped jail time on all those previous charges, but Ellis Meighan's luck was about to run out with a most heinous crime. On April 15, 2024, police issued an arrest warrant for 31-year-old Ellis Meighan Jr., naming him principal suspect in the murder of Roy Lee Burgess, and the attempted murder of Maya James in Placencia.
Ernest was murdered on April 14th inside his vehicle on the Placencia Road. His friend Maya James was shot in the face during the incident. Investigators have since been seeking Belize City resident Ellis Meighan for questioning in connection with the murder. But Meighan fled to the US, where he is currently claiming asylum. That is the information the Commissioner of Police provided to the press 5 days ago.
I think the issue with Ellis Meighan currently is that he's claiming asylum. So I think the US would go through that asylum process to see if he would meet the requirements to be granted asylum. And if he does not meet the requirements, then he will be sent back home. Bearing in mind that we have already issued an arrest warrant for him, likewise his wanted poster is out there. So the US authorities should know that he is wanted in Belize, and Interpol Belize is in communication with Interpol in the US to make sure that there is proper coordination.
James, the young lady that was shot at the time when Burgess was killed, has since recovered from her injuries. She sat down with Breakbeat Media, a YouTube channel in the US, and provided a detailed 1-hour interview recollecting the horrifying incident. James shared that she and Burgess were on a night out in Placencia when Meighan allegedly met Burgess and they all got into Burgess' vehicle together. According to James, they drove out of Placencia for about 20 minutes. Burgess told her that they were taking him to an area where a vehicle would pick him up. They later stopped near mile 22 on the road.
I saw a car coming down the street, and he was like, this is the binary, yeah. That's my ride right here. And he opened the car door and he stepped out. And when he did that, like, I turned around like this and I looked at his face, because that's the only reason I'm able to even know what he looks like right now, is because I turned and looked at him directly in his face like that. And by the time I spent my head back around like this, all I heard was pop, 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 pop. And I felt like fire on my ear. Like fire. It burned so bad. I just, like, when it happened, I was like, this cannot be gunshots right now. Like, but I thought fast. Like, I immediately fell, like, in between my legs, and I played dead. I played dead for like a couple of minutes.
Deciding to pretend dead could have been what saved James's life. She says that after a couple minutes, she grabbed her phone and placed it under the seat while trying to call her mom. She then got out of the vehicle and dragged herself into some nearby bushes.
The second, yes, him.
James was rushed to the hospital. She later underwent reconstructive surgery. 2 months and 3 surgeries later, James is sharing her experience. She alleges that a police officer helped Meighan to get out of Placencia that same night.
That same night, a cop helped him out the village because they had checkpoints set up for him. A cop helped him out the village. He was on the run until, what, a couple days ago. Thanks to me. If I didn't live, they were friends. You know that, right? They were friends. If I didn't live, he would have shown up to his funeral and everything.
While police in Belize await the return of Ellis Meighan, his brother Tyrone Meighan has been in Belize. These guys were known to be involved in gang activities, as they claimed, the Crips, and were not afraid of committing crimes. This led to several disagreements and beefs with other gang factions, and soon that beef took an unimaginable step. July 4, 2025, neighbors on Cedar Street heard gunshots, but when the police arrived, they did not find anyone in need of help or anything out of order. The next day, the police received a call about 2 bodies in a yard. Investigators found 66-year-old Evadne Jones and her 39-year-old disabled son, Luke, shot multiple times in their front yard. No weapon was recovered at the scene. Detectives traced motive to a TikTok live stream by Patrick Pato Jones, son of murder victim Evadne Jones, who resides in California. In his live, he taunted a Belize City Crip gang, proving that in the digital age, words on screen can provoke real-world bloodshed. Ops.
I'm gonna get switched on from left to right now, bro. Come on, bro. And switch on the down from left to right now. Right. Stop screaming, please. I'm gonna get switched right now from left to right. Most tongue no crip can't play around me. Tell the I say so. Be say so. Me, real wicked man in a real life. Tell the I say so.
It is believed that Pato was taunting Tyrone Ellis on the live, and it led to this tragic situation. After his mother and brother was ruthlessly murdered, Patrick Pato Jones vowed revenge on the culprits. He went back live to tell them this.
Bro, no care where you're there, bro. And my money on top, far. I dedicate my life to you, bro. And all your friends, can't violate me in the worst kind of way I talk about. Me got family, bro. I bad for real.
These threats were not idly sent. Pato Jones was deeply hurt by the situation, and we believe the actions of the individuals that night caused the situation to spiral, and it led to the latest incident that occurred. At 11:10 a.m. on August 1, 2025, Jawmaine sat in a silver Ford Escape parked on Sarstoon Street when two men on a black motorcycle pulled alongside the vehicle and unleashed a hail of at least 7 rounds through the passenger window.
31-year-old Jawmaine had stopped here on Sarstoon Street when a gunman on motorcycle pulled up.
Information is that he was in a vehicle along with another male person when a motorcycle with 2 persons came to the area. One of the persons fired several shots towards his direction, causing his fatal injuries. We are seeking 2 persons in regards to this murder investigation.
His friends took him out of the vehicle and then frantically rushed him to the hospital, but there was nothing doctors could do.
Any day when I get up out here, I don't know that was threat. So I done ready for a gunman every day out here.
But on this day, he was not ready. The father of 3 was visiting someone in the area, which is not far from his home.
I'm not sure who they were looking for, but the vehicle was stationary, and that is when the motorcycle came to the area.
Jawmaine was a prominent gang-affiliated figure. We had interviewed him a number of times about his various run-ins with the law. On Saturday, he was shot multiple times with a high-powered 40 caliber pistol.
Yeah, several shots were fired at him. We have several expended shells that were found at the scene. It is 40 caliber shells.
A block away from where a mother and son had been murdered 4 weeks ago. So now this is the second murder in that area, right? 2 of them happened right off Logwood Street in the past 5 weeks. Are these murders related?
Well, we have several theories. We know this one is gang related with Jawmaine, and we are trying to put the pieces together, but we cannot conclude if they are related.
Was Jawmaine lured to that location?
He was there looking for someone along with the other male person in the area.
Are police concerned about the repercussions that this?
Yes, we have several operations that are undergoing. We have intelligence that we're working on, and so we are trying our best to minimize any retaliation at this time.
The Meighan family has surely suffered some severe losses over the years. They have also caused heartbreaks to several other families in Belize. From the murder of their father to the recent killing of Tyrone. Is it just bad luck? Or is the family faith sealed? From cycling legends to cycle of violence, the Meighan story starkly reflects Belize City's struggle with revenge, impunity, and the digital sparks that ignite old wounds. A family that has not only lost a parent, but now also losing 2 sons, 1 murdered, and 1 will possibly be looking at a long prison sentence for murder and attempted murder. If you believe it's time to break the cycle, subscribe, share your thoughts below, and join us for more true story deep dives.